fact that can possibly save your life. If a tornado looks like it isn't moving, it's heading right towards you. If you are in your car and a tornado is nearing, and other shelter is unavailable, do not seek shelter under an overpass. Those things are suction-wide death traps. Do go lay in a ditch and cover your head. The tornado is likely to pass over you. Source: I'm a Minnesotan. Maybe not your life, but someone else's. Most drowning is silent. The victim quite literally cannot speak to call for help, as they are too desperately trying to get any air at all. Drowning can look simply like a person bobbing in the water until they no longer come back up. Keep a watch out. Especially if it's kids. If you are ever buried in rubble, earthquake, tornado, building collapse etc., don't shout. You'll lose your voice and waste energy. Instead, grab a piece of rubble and knock in patterns of threes. Humans are expert pattern makers and pattern notices. Rescuers will hear the distinctive pattern sound and go toward it. Once you can hear people, then use your voice. If your car goes into the water, open the door or roll down the windows immediately. If you don't, the pressure differential will hold them shut and you'll have to wait until the car fills up with water. My buddy did a master's thesis on exactly this and I was able to test out this scenario several times. If you go into the water, get out ASAP. Don't wait. Roll down the windows and get out. The electronics of the car should still work long enough to roll them down. Don't wait until there is equal pressure. You could be upside down at the bottom of a lake wedged between an object. React and move as fast as you can. All firearms are loaded. Even if they are not, they are. My father shot himself in the foot because the gun he checked multiple times had a BB in the chamber that didn't rattle. He shot at his foot because he wanted to see how strong the air pressure was. It ended with a trip to the emergency room and a police report. We're thankful it was only a BB gun that time. The next time he went to the ER for a gun wound, it was because he overloaded a black powder rifle. He took off a chunk of his right arm. He's lucky he didn't take out part of the artery. Why he's still allowed to have guns baffles me. Do not delay getting out of a burning building. The flames are not what will kill you. The smoke will get very thick and toxic very quickly and you will not be able to see the way to get out. Stay low and go, go, go. The oxygen is down near the floor. And don't think a handkerchief over your face will do anything. A wet towel can help in tandem with staying low. Keep the smoke from burning your lungs. But yay, it's not like you'll be able to just walk out normally doing that. If you get impaled or stabbed, leave the object in and call 911, or your country's equal. That object is keeping all the blood on the inside of your body. If the wound is still bleeding, wrap cloth around the impaled object to try and stem the flow of blood. You can look up how to do a donut wrap, it's super quick and easy. If your cloth's saturated with blood, cover it with another. Never take off a bandage. The blood will already be in the starting stages of clotting with the original cloth, and removing it will cause a resurgence in flow. If you ever almost drown to the point of throwing up water or passing out, even if you feel 100% fine, get to a hospital. Your lungs can unwittingly self-fill up with fluid over the next few hours. Secondary or delayed drowning happens when a child inhales water into his or her lungs, causing inflammation or edema, swelling. The edema can occur hours or even days after the initial contact with water. Death from delayed drowning is due to swelling of the small air sacs in the lungs, preventing oxygen from entering the bloodstream. If you smell a fish smell in your house, some people also report a urine-like smell, for no reason. 9 times out of 10 it means there's an electrical fire. I was visiting my sister a number of years back. Hanging out on her couch. Smelled a smell of urine, with a bit of dead fish mixed in. I asked her what that was. She answered, "It's been here for weeks. We think a rat or squirrel got trapped in the walls." That didn't sound right to me. A dead animal would smell different. And for whatever reason, I googled smells like urine. Electrical fire was the first answer. So, I sniffed all around the room. And found it was coming from the plug of an old lamp. Unplugged it, odor vanished. Instant hero. If you get kidnapped, try to leave as much traces of yourself behind as you can. For example, leave bits of clothing behind or scratch your arms a lot to leave dead skin behind. This way you increase your chances that a search dog could pick up your scent and find you. I watched a crime show once where the victim left her hair everywhere in her abductor's car. She kept pulling single strands of hair out. When she was taken to the house of the person who took her, she pulled more hair out, touched everything she could to leave fingerprints behind, and even licked multiple places in his house. She managed to escape and they found evidence of her all over his car and house. Slam shut case. I wish I could remember her name so I could look her case up. If your vomit look like coffee ground, you are bleeding internally, you need to go to the hospital. Black poop can also be a sign of internal bleeding, though it may also be because you ate black foods, or a slew of other things the replies to this comment are bringing up. I read somewhere if a stranger gets in your car and tells you to take them somewhere, drive into something like a lamppost or anything, you won't be useful to them anymore because the car is damaged and you've drawn attention to them by crashing the car. You'll damage your car but you'll have your life and your bank account. Someone at my college did this a few years ago. The guy told him to drive to the bank and withdraw all his money, so he drove into a lamppost and saved himself. There are no rules if a stranger puts their hands on you. Yell, scream bloody murder, kick, bite, make the biggest scene you possibly can and run away as fast as you can. Make sure your kids understand that this is the exception, the time they must draw as much attention as possible and do anything it takes to get away and get help. If you're being tied up, puff yourself out as much as possible so it'll be easier to wiggle out of. Tense muscles, inhale deep and stretch out your arms and legs to make more space. Me and my classmates used to have competitions where we'd tie each other up with rope. It started out with hands but it went to full body, and we'd time ourselves on how fast we could get out. It was also good practice for tying someone up since we got to see which methods worked best. I used to pull this trick all the time and get the fastest time. My hands would be really red and there would be lots of marks, but it was worth it. Never pull out a gun or any weapon unless you are prepared to kill or die. Weapons escalate the situation to another level. If you have a weapon, intend to use it and risk having it used on you. If you pull a gun out, you have killed someone. You need to accept that if you're going to carry a gun. If you pull a gun, accept that the person who is the threat is already dead. If the situation ends and they are still alive, awesome, but when you pull a gun, consider the person dead. That's the only way to think of it. This one's pretty obvious, but if someone's grabbing you, it's usually easy to break the hold by grabbing their thumb. Can hold stuff so well without your thumb. I'm glad I haven't had the opportunity to use this next one, but I've been taught that if someone is trying to assault you or kidnap you, and you manage to get him on the ground, prop his leg up on something, kneecap facing upward, and jump on that goddamn knee. Can't chase or kidnap you if he can't walk. If you're visiting an unfamiliar location like a cinema or concert hall, take a few moments to look around for the nearest exit, then pick out a second as a backup in case the first becomes blocked or cut off. If something happens, especially in a crowded public place, most people's first instincts are to turn around and head for the main entrance, but this is not always the closest, safest or easiest way out. 9 times out of 10 there will usually be a closer exit. When you're in Australia, mostly on beaches, do not touch the tiny adorable octopus with blue rings. It's poisonous and will usually kill you. In fact, don't touch any snakes or spiders or marine life. A lot of it is poisonous, venomous, or will kill you in other ways. Don't let this stop you from coming to Australia though, most of the humans are pretty nice. Never ever place an extension ladder on a smooth concrete floor and climb it unless the feet have rubber pads attached to them. Otherwise there is a very real risk that as you climb higher, your weight will cause the feet to slide out from under you because there is very little friction between aluminum and smooth finished concrete. I've climbed ladders countless times and then one day I did this and it almost killed me. Shattered my wrist and almost broke my back. Life forever altered. If you're caught out in a thunderstorm, do not, for the love of God, stand under a tree for shelter. Had a kid at our school get killed like this. Lightning hits the tree, travels down to the ground, up one fluid-filled leg, through the heart stopping it, down the other leg into the ground. Get somewhere that is safe like a car, or if you really need to, squat down on the floor with your feet together until it passes. Don't waste time ditching gear like jewelry. Easy way to tell the distance of the storm: count from the flash to the thunder, divide by 5 for miles, and 3 for kilometers, roughly. If you're caught up a hill, take extra precaution and preferably plan ahead and just don't go if there's a chance of lightning. If you have a nice breakthrough in a pond or lake, do not use your upper body to pull yourself out. Place your chest against the edge and only kick as fast as you can to get yourself over the hump. The water splashing around you overflows in most cases and the continued kicking propels you, and you slide on your ribs and belly. Push yourself, don't pull yourself. If someone is trying to kidnap you into a car, do whatever it takes to not get in. If it means life or death to escape getting into the car, then those odds are likely your best. If they say get in or you die, you don't listen and you do your best to get away. They are more likely to kill you once they've transported you to somewhere private rather than publicly on the road. Statistically, once you enter the car, you are more likely to die. A friend of mine got kidnapped in Spain. They thought he didn't know Spanish and said, "What are we going to do with him? Just kill him." Luckily he knew Spanish and somehow talked himself out of the situation. If you're ever bitten by a wild animal out of the blue and it appears to be more aggressive than usual, like a raccoon, stray cat or dog, skunk, bat, or a fox, get yourself to a hospital to get possible rabies exposure treatment. Once you get rabies, it's pretty much game over. As soon as you're displaying symptoms, it has already reached your brain and there is essentially no chance of survival at this point. Vaccinate your damn self and your damn pets. If you ever go back to your car and see that there is a random object placed on your windshield wipers, rear view mirrors, etc. Most common is a shirt wrapped around your passenger rear mirror, call your county's emergency line and start driving without removing the object. This is a common method for kidnapping as it distracts you before you get back in your car. If you encounter a wild bear, try to look as big as possible. Stand on the tips of your feet, raise your hands high up and look the bear straight into the eyes. Then start talking in a really deep voice, like really Darth Vader-like. So deep, that nobody would even understand what are you saying. The bear will look at you for a while, probably do some noises, in this case do not scream. You will scare the bear this way and he might attack, but eventually the bear will leave. This is the only thing that works on bears. You cannot outrun them because they can run for much longer than you, and unlike boars, they are very good tree climbers, so don't try escaping on a tree. This doesn't work with grizzlies and polar bears though. Only with black bears and some brown ones. With the bear you want to be as big as possible. It's the opposite when facing gorillas. They are very proud animals and they don't want to see any type of resistance. Also, gorilla is the last animal you would like to fight. It can outrun you, overpower you, and it can climb trees way better than you. However, when you meet wild gorilla you want to crawl down and look the smallest you possibly can. Laying belly up also helps because animals see that as a surrender sign. With other monkeys, you probably won't be able to overpower them, but they won't have interest in you unless you have something they like. Just don't look them in the eyes. Sharks, same as bears, you want to look as big as you can so they think you won't fit into their mouth. However, they are not aggressive creatures. And unless absolutely necessary, don't try to swim away from them. Even the best swimmer of the world is as fast as retarded seal, and those are sharks' favorite food. Rhinos have very poor eyesight, so they won't see you approaching them. So when they notice you they get very scared and will start chasing you. They are much better runners than crocodilians, so outrunning them isn't an option. However, they are not really good in changing directions mid-run, so try the zigzag pattern and you should be able to shake them off easily. Snakes, just don't approach them. When you find one and you don't know if it is poisonous or not, just walk away from it. If you are bitten by one, find someone who can help, probably a hospital. Just tie your leg, arm, wherever you were bitten by a piece of clothing few centimeters above the bite, so the poison doesn't spread. Hornets, this is just a cool fact. Hornets are angered by the white color. You might think that taking off your white shirt might work, however remember that part of your eyes is white and they are easily angered by it. So when facing hornets, walk away from them, don't look at them, just go. You can even run in this scenario. If you witness an accident, never remove a person's helmet unless it is essential to protect their airway. Doing so could exacerbate a spinal or brain injury. Furthermore, once the person is out of direct danger, ensure that they are laid flat on the ground and are kept in place. They may be moving around and trying to get up if they are conscious, but moving could exacerbate a spinal injury. Multiple people may be needed to hold down a person who is in shock after an accident. One person should focus on holding the head in place, always. Never touch someone's open wounds unless it is necessary to do so to stop bleeding, and even then, try to find a barrier before touching with your bare hands. Especially never touch or apply pressure to open fractures. If an injury is bleeding profusely, hold pressure with some kind of occlusive if possible, and tourniquet above the level of injury, but never on a joint, always above or below, if the injury is on an extremity. Tourniquets are probably tighter than you expect them to be. And remember the time you put it on, date the fabric or person if possible. If a finger or toe is chopped off, hold pressure and tourniquet the limb, find the lost finger or toe, and put it in a Ziploc bag. Surround the bag with towels or napkins, and put it inside of another bag of ice. The idea is to ice it to preserve the cells, but keep it from direct contact so it doesn't become frostbitten. If done in a timely manner, said finger or toe may be able to be saved. When de-escalating a situation with an angry or anxious person, speak slowly and calmly, and make yourself as non-threatening as possible. Do not threaten them or block any exits. Empathize with them. If they are a direct threat to you, you may need to go along with their plan until you can safely get out. If someone is having a panic attack, try to get them to focus on something very intently, the feel of grass under their fingers, identifying a particular color that stands out to them in your environment, etc. Telling them to calm down only makes it worse. They need to feel safe and realize on their own that they are not in any immediate danger. It's a good idea to always keep a basic first aid kit and survival kit, think water, granola bars, knife or tools, light, flint, in your car or backpack. Lastly and most importantly, be kind and helpful to everyone.